Jeep Gladiator might just look like a Wrangler with a tray, but there are a bunch of changes under the skin to produce what Jeep is calling the most capable truck in the segment. The chassis is significantly longer than that of Wrangler, while the wheelbase has been stretched too. Rear suspension is borrowed from a Ram, while there are also bespoke items such as the Fox shocks on Rubicon models. Axles are courtesy of Dana, the 44 series units thicker and stronger than those used on Wrangler, keeping the underbelly safe are skid plates and bars, while Rubicon variants add rock rails. A beefier tow hitch, larger rear brakes and stronger wheels enable the Gladiator to haul over 2,700 kilos. The only powertrain on offer to New Zealand is a V6 petrol mated to an 8-speed auto. Gladiator is a lifestyle vehicle rather than a workhorse, so our introduction to the range was more camping trip than product launch. We hit the road out of Queenstown and headed for the hills, stopping briefly at the picturesque Cadrona Hotel before going off-road. Despite the weather, we went topless. This is the only convertible ute on the market after all. The soft top is a cinch to drop, just undo a couple of clips then flapper back. As we made our way over heavily rutted tracks, it naturally started to rain. Thankfully there's a hose-out interior and waterproof start button. We bumped and splashed our way through rivers and tracks, all while winding our way up to a stunning spot high above Lake Wanaka. It wasn't the most taxing terrain, but it was a lot of fun nonetheless. After a barbecue lunch at the lakefront, we went in search of something more challenging. The Mount Aspiring Road was still closed to vehicles due to flooding, but not to our Gladiators with their trick four-wheel drive systems and masses of ground clearance, so we carried on. We were pleasantly surprised by the ride quality. Even on choppy metal roads, the high riding suspension filters out most of the bumps. There's only the occasional shudder from the unladen tray to remind you that you're actually driving a ute. Next up was a rock crawling exercise. The course was pretty gnarly with twists, turns and gaps that didn't look quite big enough to thread the wide Rubicon through. Oh well, not my truck. But with 4low engaged and guidance from the Jeep Jamboree team, we conquered the trail with ease. The rock rails had a hard time though, grinding and screeching against the bigger rocks. But it was the armour on the tray corners that took the biggest beating. The Gladiator's reduced departure angle working against it in the tighter spots. Rock crawling was quite addictive and really highlighted just how capable these trucks are. We then convoyed east with the intention of crossing several rivers. Unfortunately, recent flooding meant the rivers were still too swollen to cross, even with the Gladiator's impressive fording ability, so we ended up being choppered to our overnight digs. Based at the foot of a snow-capped mountain, Camp Avalanche was one of the most picturesque places we've ever had the pleasure of camping. Here we got to relax and soak up the stunning scenery before devouring a dinner of lamb slow-cooked over coals. I could have stayed for a week. The next morning our return journey began on river rafts. We paddled downstream, enjoying the scenery we had blasted past the previous day. Then, back in the jeeps, we cranked the sounds and dropped the top, rolling into town a few hours later a touch sunburnt. Guess who forgot to slip, slop, slap and rap? The Gladiator handled the windy roads with ease, the grunty V6 emitting a decent growl with the roof down. It's never going to win any drag races, but it's quick enough. The steering is the same as Wrangler. It turns in nicely, there's just not a lot of feel. The capable and tractable nature of the Gladiator made accessing some of the most beautiful and remote parts of our country possible, making for a truly memorable experience. With our varied geography and affection for the great outdoors, Gladiator provides Kiwi buyers with a stylish and capable, but pricier alternative to the more mainstream double cab utes currently on offer.